श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरते य उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। I don't know how I missed it, but in the mantra, the Sanskritam itself, in the newer edition, there is a missing in the fourth line, first word. It should be Anirakaranamastu, Anirakaranam mestu. Please add a to it. In English, they have added it. The transliteration, they have added it. केनेषितं पतति प्रेषितं मनः page 61. केनेषितं पतति प्रेषितं मनः केन प्राणः प्रथमः प्रीतियुक्तः केनेषितां वाचमिमां वदन्ति चक्षुश्रोत्रं कौ देवो युनक्ति We will also chant the second verse. That way we can continue with the meaning. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso manoyat vacho havacham sav pranasya pranaha चक्षुषश्चक्षुः अतिमुच्य धीराः प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकात् अमृता भवन्ति. So in all earnesty, the student reaches the teacher, and the teacher provides the room for that particular student, the seeker, a non-judgmental environment in which the student can unhesitatingly ask their questions. In our Sanatana way of system, pariprashnena sevaya, it is the student that is always encouraged to ask questions, inquire about the highest truth. So the teacher smilingly provides, compassionately provides that environment, and the student straight away asks. And because the asking begins with Kena, therefore the Upanishad is called Kena-Upanishad. Very simple nomenclature. Which Upanishad? the one that starts with Kena, therefore Kena-Upanishad. And such profoundness in the question itself. Sadharantah, when we ask any question, we see that in today's norm of ethical living, we put a preface to it. Sorry to ask the question. It may be dumb of me to ask the question. Can I ask the question? No question is ever dumb. But that unhesitant environment where you are allowed to ask, that has to be provided. Otherwise, the seeker can always remain hesitant about their own questions, their own doubts, their own lack of clarity. And the way the question is asked, the profoundness of that seeker, the depth at which the seeker has been inquiring is also understood. Physically, anatomically, the body functions, I understand. All these organs of perception perceive the world of objects. The mind receives it, processes it, and enables the organs of action into the field of action. It further evaluates pluses, minus, wherever adjustments have to be made. The mind keeps making it, and we keep proceeding in various experiences. This much everybody understands. In fact, most of us, all of our life, spend our time in trying to fine tune not just the motor skills, but we fine tune the subtlety with which the organs of perception, organs of action and mind in synchronized behavior perform. The more synchronized it is, the more beautiful the performance is. It's almost as though the dance with the world of objects is taught right from young age. Now, if you go to this nursery school, to develop those motor skills, they have those square boxes, they have those cubes, they have to pick that cube, they have to find that square hole, and through that they have to insert it. So motor skills are developed, eye-hand coordination is developed. I mean, even before that, I think the motor skills of eye-hand coordination starts from a plate of food that is kept in front of the child, and the child has to pick it up and aim with that hand into the mouth. There are several holes here. So the child attempts, and that's why the child's face, the area, that entire environment looks like a chaos. If you have to feed the child X amount of food, and in this experiment you have to give at least 5x, because there is some which is smeared all over the face, there is some which has fallen into the body, there is some which has scattered around the plate, and definitely around the table and the chair. There is a beautiful design, chaotic design of the food particles thrown aside. Slowly that child learns the art of putting it straight into the mouth. Some, even as adults, we lack that. Around the plate there is so much chaos that we see. Hand-mouth coordination is a problem. You throw a ball, many people, no. Why? I know my hand-eye coordination is not that great. And when such people say that, Swamiji, I can drive you there, I don't want to take a risk. So that much of the physiological interaction with the world through the mind, that much everybody is introduced to. But the student is not asking at a mere physical level. There is such amazing beauty in every step of this process. The question that the student is asking is, all this well coordinated seems to be like there is somebody in charge who is prompting the mind to function in a certain pattern. There are times wherein the mind is completely absent in functioning. I call that as my deep sleep. Is it because the organs have withdrawn, therefore the mind has withdrawn, or the mind has withdrawn, therefore the organs have withdrawn? The schematics of it, there is somebody ordering it from inside. Kena-Upanishad. Very precise orders being given. Who is it that is enabling all of this? The eyes, the nose, the speech. Everything seems to be so well. There is something that is, all of this earlier analysis, I am able to logically arrive at it. But when using the same logic, I want to identify, I understand there is something, but I am not able to evaluate, understand and grasp that. What exactly is it? Not able to figure that out. Not able to figure that out at all. So, Kena, who is that? Is it some Deva? Kau Devo Yunakti? What kind of Deva is this? Or maybe he is also understood that there is something illumining. Dyotanat Devaha. There is something illumining. I am not able to grasp that illuminator. Who can it be? So this we saw elaborately yesterday. Now today, the answer that which is being given. See the beauty of a Shrotriya Brahmanistha. If they are only Shrotriya, they have apar medha shakti. Their retention power is beautiful. Their recollection is beautiful. Their rendition is beautiful. They can quote from various topics at ease. But it is mere pure academic approach. And when you see these academicians speak on a topic, they will have a PowerPoint, they will have tons of paperwork, they will have several books for reference. They will bring all of that to the podium and refer through that, flip the pages and deliver such a captivating, comprehensive idea. But you can see very clearly that it is merely at an empirical level. They have Shastra Jnana, Anubhava Vihina. They have not had experience of that which they are speaking. The different other schemes of knowledge, Vyavaharika knowledge, you are not asked to experience it and then speak about, then share that knowledge. You just have to memorize it and understand the sequence and deliver it. Any field, that is how it is. The field of science, the field of math, the field of economics. You understand the data, the logic of the data, and you present it. You don't have to experience it. Here, this knowledge is not just mere academic approach, but that which is being spoken or pointed by the Shruti has to be experienced as well. So that Shrotriyatva has to evolve into Brahmanishtatva. What is the meaning of Brahmanishtatva? Our Vidyaranya Swamiji in the Vedanta Panchadashi says it so beautifully. He says, Tat Shravanam, Tat Kathanam, Anyonyam, Tat Prabodhanam, Tadakara Vritti Nirupanam. To have the Tadakara Vritti, that which we point as that always, constantly reveling, speaking, hearing, sharing that knowledge as an experience, the one who is established in it, such one is called Brahmanistha. So they are both Shrotriyatva as well as Brahmanisthatva. This is one qualification. The next level of qualification is the teacher cannot stand on the high pulpit and say that this is what is my vocabulary and I will speak in this high-flown language. The teacher's job is to understand the student and come down to the student level. And that is another beauty of our Sanatana Shruti, Sanatana Dharma. We don't have one prophet some many eons ago, and whatever spoken implicitly, not questioning, you just have to follow. But instead, in every generation there is that Shrotriya Brahmanishta who is equipped with the Shastra as well as Swanubhuti. Thereby they can bring it down to the level of that generation so that they can handhold them and take them to the highest. So it is necessary that the teacher puts the effort to understand the language of the mindset of the student and be able to deliver it. I tell you my own personal experience. I was shifted from Bharat to Dallas. By then I had already been working as a brahmachari for almost 8 years. So most of the scriptures and scriptural discourses were a regular part. As soon as I reached there, I was given the job to speak to 4th, 5th, 6th graders. There was a camp conducted by Guruji. Within 4 days, I just had arrived, Guruji called and said, come to Chicago, conduct this, be a part of this camp. They'll give you a certain grade, you teach them. And the topic was Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam I had already completed the entire 12 cantos once. I said, easy peasy, I can do it. I went there. All those 5 days was such a miserable experience for me. It's not because I do not know the Bhagavad Katha. It was layers of cultural shock. First and foremost, the anticipation that I had was the kids would be more disciplined. They would sit up, look straight at the speaker, listen to it. These kids were roaming all over the place. And it was a losing battle to try discipline them. And the shocker was, though they seemed to be disengaged and rolling around, they were listening. Because one of the katha in the very first day, where I started, Devaki and Vasudeva got married, and Kamsa was so happy he was bringing them in the chariot. There was the Akashavani, and it said the 8th son will be killing you. And he says, I will kill you both right away. He said, no, put us in prison, we will submit our child. You can do whatever you feel like, but don't kill us. After all, I am your sister. So they are thrown in the jail, and whole day I have spent on this story, trying to create a rapport with the students. And one by one, 8 children, one escapes. I narrated the whole story. At the end of the day, one kid suddenly turns and says, Kamsa was fool or what? There is no permission asked. Another cultural shock. Just randomly he just suddenly speaks out of turn. I said, Kamsa was fool or what? I said, you're true. I should have left it at that. Agreed and moved on. But then my own inquisitiveness, I said, why do you think so? I said, he could have avoided all this bloodshed if he had put Devaki and Vasudeva speaking on Bhagavatam for several years. This concept did not even occur in my head. Not that the kid was wrong. Another cultural shock. A 4th, 5th grade knows this biological aspect. Recovering from my own shocks, I said, remember that we are talking about, because I had to do Shastra, defense. We are talking about that Vishnu who has taken avatara as Narsimha, where there was no requirement of a father and a mother for him to be born. He was born out of a pillar. Do you think when he had to come, putting these parents in 2 different prison cells, could have avoided Bhagavan Krishna to be born? Then he squeezes his eyes and is thinking very deeply and says, oh, the language, another shock. That dude Vishnu, another shock, that dude, that fellow Vishnu, yeah, he could do that. Then I went back to Dallas and I said, I have to do something because I don't understand what these kids are thinking. I am not able to reach to their level to be able to communicate. Then I sat down and asked our mission, the committee there, said, I need urgently a TV and a cable connection to that TV. Make sure that all the children channels, Cartoon Network and other things are there in that. Oh, why? I said, I have to do the Upasana now. Sit down and learn all the feed that is going into them so that I can understand what is making them think as what. Knowing their environment so that I can communicate this Shastra to them in their language, in their examples. Then I saw that these kids were interested in basketball. Growing up in India, basketball is not a big game here. There are about 45 plus teams. Learned all the teams' names, all the players' names, the statistics. Even as young as 3rd, 4th grader, they are so much into it. So if I am giving a certain example, then instead of saying, hitting the ball outside the park, I said to dribble the ball. I have to change the vocabulary now. But I have to know what change I have to make to deliver it. Just knowing the Shastra is not sufficient. One has to understand where the student is coming from. For 6 to 8 months I did Upasana, TV Upasana. After that I think my Vasana for TV was done. I did not watch for next 20 years. But that was necessary so that I could understand the mindset as to what is their thinking, why are they thinking like how they are thinking. So that what has to be communicated can be at their parlance. So the first level is Shrotriyatva, Brahmanishtatva. Second level is to understand where the student is coming from and to be able to communicate in that language. And then without having any Shastra Hani, just so that I have to accommodate a student, it doesn't mean that I have to twist the Shruti to accommodate and conveniently convey something. That is called Shastra Hani. Without committing Shastra Hani. For example, when the child asks, can't they be put in 2 different prisons? I have to still go back to the scripture and with that scriptural knowledge give them the understanding that we are talking about that Vishnu who doesn't require a Karana to be born. But how do I communicate it again in their level where they understand? So without doing the Shastra Hani, the message has to be communicated. Otherwise the Shastra Hani I have seen these days where the people to accommodate the students that kind of mindset, they say, oh, Shrutis and other things are in Sanskrit, they they are redundant. The listener is happy. Here the purpose is not to please the crowd. The purpose is to elevate them to appreciate the scripture in a language and understanding from their level. So all of this has to be comprehensively put across while the dialogue is continuing. So the teacher here, the guru here, understood the pulse of the student, and in that very language he responds. He says, Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyat Vachoha Vacham Sau Pranasya Pranaha Chakshusha Chakshuhu Atimujya Dhiraha. Page 74. Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyat. That which you are seeking, that which you have asked, that which you have very beautifully put across in your question, that you are not talking about the anatomical functionality. You are asking about the very source because of which these functionalities function in their respective fields. And what is that? He says, that is Shrotrasya Shrotram. It is the ear of the ear, mind of the mind, speech of the speech, pranasya pranaha. It is the very thing that which empowers the prana also to function. Oh, I thought prana is sufficient. No, it is the subtlest which enables even the prana. Chakshusha Chakshuhu, eye of the eye. The beauty here is in that very language which the student has asked, the message is communicated. The same beauty we see in Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharyaji's approach. When he takes a certain stotra, he starts, say, Ganesha Pancharatna, Mudakarartha Modakam Sadavi Mukti Sadakam. He starts with the attributes and the description of the attributes of that particular form of divine. That Devata is described. Mudakara, he has a modaka in his hand. And the description goes on. In the end, he ties down this Saguna Sakara format, which is your Ishta Devata, and conclusion he draws is that all of this Saguna Sakara expression is that Nirguna Nirakaratva. This is Ajam, Nirvikalpam, Nirakaram. All of this are the description of that very Ganesha from the Nirguna Nirakara format. He ties it down. He starts with the language which the student can perceive, tangible, understandable, and then draws that mind to the highest. Similarly, the tangible thing that which the student has, as the question very clearly says, he is talking about the organs of perception, organs of action, and the mind interface between these two. So clearly the student has understood there is an interface, there is an operating system which is also operating very flawlessly. How flawlessly? The beauty here is so well designed. There are 5 inputs, right? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. All these 5 inputs have to be consolidated at every given moment by the mind. One source, eyes is seeing, ears are hearing. As the eyes are seeing and hearing, the same content has to be mapped. Have you ever done video editing? There is a video part to it, there is a audio part to it. If the audio and video are not correctly mapped, video will be going in one speed, audio will be going in another speed. You will be disenchanted looking at that kind of a video. Most of the rigged, pirated CDs and DVDs and movies that you see, sometimes what happens, the video is going at a faster pace. The dialogue delivery is happening 3 seconds or 2 seconds delayed. After 5 minutes of watching it, you say, chodo isko. Why? There is no synchronization. Imagine the mind, it gathers data from 5 different sources, connects the time map of each, consolidates each one into bundles of experience flawlessly. And we say we have a problem with the mind. Thank goodness it is working flawlessly. Imagine if, even when all of them are consolidated and comprehensively delivered, we have misunderstanding, no understanding, lack of understanding. Imagine if they were time lags. Chaos of chaos. It would have been complete confusion. This is that which is consolidating all of this, that which is enabling the mind to function in this flawlessness, the ears to function in that respective field, that keenly listens to, delivers that which it is listening to, that which it, see, there is one, the golaka, the indriya as you see in a physical format. There are people that are deaf. Because I touched the ear, so I think I am going with that example. There are people that are deaf. They have the indriya, but the functionality, that is the software behind the hardware, that is disconnected. So he is not talking about the software either. The indriya plus the software as a package, there is something which is enabling. It is called, the enabler at the ear level is called the ear of the ear. The eye again is a hardware behind which there is a software of functionality, the entire package and its functionality. Eye of the eye, that which is enabling the eye to function in its particular field. Similarly, all that which it consolidates is the mind. There is that enabler of the mind which can be considered for your vocabulary to easily understand, that it is the mind of the mind, that which minds the mind. And we think that just by taking prana, the air, that we are living. No, there is a prana of prana, because of whose presence the prana goes in and out, because of whose permission the prana goes in and out. Without whose presence, though the air is available, the prana going in and out stops. Way back in the Western world, where they did not know yet about the pulse, they would put a small mirror at the nostrils to decide if the person is khatam, done. When the exhalation happens and the breath is coming out, it is a little warm air, and that warm air will bring some moisture, and that moisture residual happens to leave behind on that mirror, and that decides. There are yogis where they do pranabandhana for months together. They are in that antarkumbhaka, where they have merged the prana and apana, and in that balance, in that samadhi, they can continue for months at a time. If you were to say that prana going in and out is the deciding factor, what about these peculiar cases wherein prana and apana both are stambhana, they have been stopped, they have been merged? I am not saying something new, it comes in Bhagavad Gita. Pranapanau samo krutva nasabhyantaracharino. Prana and apana are balanced, and then you do the antarkumbhaka and you stand. There are yogis that do it. Though it is not considered as a realized state, you are in a stambhana state. So there is a situation where the prana and there is no movement. You can call it, the nature also plays this role, hibernation. So it is a hibernated state. And yet the person continues to live on. So there is something which is enabling the prana as well, with whose permission the prana goes in and out. Though not for months at end, can we not do stambhana? Breathe in and stop. We can, right? Not for that long a period, but at least for a tiny period we can breathe in and stop, hold it. If you are into swimming, you go into the water, you cannot be breathing in. You have to do that antarkumbhaka. Then there is bahirkumbhaka also, wherein you breathe out and hold the breath outside without breathing in. If it were dependent on that prana shakti alone, when you do this kumbhaka, must have left the body. No, there is somebody that is enabling that prana to go in and out, equipping the prana at a physiological level to function in different layers. Now the student says, "Arey Guru Maharaj, इतना तो हम भी समझते हैं. This much I also understood. What I am asking is, what is it? Kena, who is it?" Up until now, the Guru confirms your question is in the right direction. Yes, there is something behind these organs of perception, organs of action, and the mind and its functionality. There is something, certainly. Confirm. You are in the right track of thinking. That's why sometimes when the teacher is asked, the first thing that teacher says is, "Good question. You are thinking in the right direction." The student is also now little relaxed, ready for the next phase. That confirmation is given. Then he proceeds to the next step. He says, "Atimuchya dhiraha pretya asmat lokat amrita bhavanti." Atimuchya, having given up. What do you have to give up? There's just one thing that you have to give up. Atimuchya. It is in the same mantra, second line. Second line. Chakshushashchakshubhu atimuchya dhiraha pretya asman lokat amrita bhavanti. They were seriously looking into the next sloka, next mantra. Atimuchya dhiraha. Atimuchya, muchya to give up. Muncha, munchati, muchati, to give up. Atimuchya, completely giving up. Giving up what? The sense of identification, the one who is identifying, that identifier has to be given up. See, to understand this identifier, the individuality as we call it, it's a very complicated concept to understand. Up until this point, because how is the Vedic literature organized? It is expecting the individual to come prepared with the earlier two steps, completely, thoroughly lived. What is the first part? The first part is called Karma Kanda, the field of action. What should be the attitude in through that Karma Kanda? A simple sentence that Ramana Maharshi makes it in Upadeshasara. Ishwararpitam Nechayakritam Chitta Shodhakam. Ishwararpana Buddhi. That whatever you are doing, however insignificant, however small, however large, always perform every single thought, word, deed as an act of dedication to the highest altar of the divine. Second, do it selflessly. What does it mean when we say do it selflessly? The karma phala bhoga sakti has to be dropped. Perform it meticulously, do it diligently, without the anxiety of the result of it. If you have performed it, the result will come to you. Nobody can snatch it. In most of the big multinational companies, one of the fear factor is, I do the work, my boss takes the credit. So it feels like all my effort is down the drain and there is no recognition, there is no promotion, therefore there is no return on my investment is not there. Why? Somebody has snatched my glory. It may appear as though it is being snatched, but the result of your action cannot be taken away by anybody else. It will come back to you and you alone. So don't be anxious of it. इसको समझना बहुत मुश्किल है. Because we are so tied down to the result of it. So the first one is Karma Kanda, perform it with this attitude every single step. What should it lead to? Chitta Shuddhi. Then is the Upasana Kanda. Upasana, Saguna, Nirguna, Saguna Sakara, Nirguna Nirakara, Upasana. Now by performing Nirguna, Saguna Sakara and Nirguna Nirakara Upasana, the mind now acquires Chitta Ekagrata. Not only that it acquires Chitta Ekagrata, Dehabhimana, Dehasakti also reduces to the minimal. The bodily identification also reduces to the minimum most. The student is expected to have performed these two steps earlier. Now, one point of evaluation for each one of us as a seeker. Are we there yet? Because we pick up the vocabulary and the concept without a prepared mind, it is like the parrot rattling out Vedanta. Therefore, in Telugu they say chilaka palukulu. Whatever it is hearing, it will keep repeating. Does it know its meaning? Probably not. Mandana Mishra, before he met Adi Shankaracharya ji, the description of his ashrama is he had 5 huge gurukulas running. And in each gurukula he had several parrots. Those parrots had heard the Karma Kanda Mimamsa so well that they could tell out all the sutras of the Karma Kanda Mimamsa, and people would be surprised that the parrots know the Shruti. But it's as good as us knowing the vocabulary but not practicing. So this seeker that has come, what is the expectation? That if you have touched the Upanishad, the earlier 2 steps have been comprehensively concluded. And what is the conclusion of each step? Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Ekagrata. Have I acquired it? What does Chitta Shuddhi mean? There are no fears, there are no anxieties, there are no regrets. Regrets is of the past, anxieties of the future, and confusions of the present. That has been completely ironed out. Chitta Ekagrata. Whichever theme of involvement or engagement that I am in, I can pull my mind and intellect to that particular moment and be completely dedicated in it without any distractions or avocations. In spite of those distractions all around. If that accessibility to the mind is guaranteed, then it is called Chitta Ekagrata. Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Ekagrata. Having attained that, then to that student, this step of disidentification is explained. Up until then, you need a certain amount of identity. The confusion that occurs in many of the so-called pseudo-intellectualism, having not reached to this maturity, having not reached to the maturity of assimilating the Vedantic knowledge through Upanishad, where the Upanishad says, Tyage naike amritatva manashu. We are ready to give up the identity to that which will create the atmosphere for performing Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Ekagrata. Our Sanskriti, our Sampradaya, our traditions, our civilizational values, our value-based education, the identity to that Sanatana which is teaching you this platform, anyway I have to give up, therefore I give it up now itself. There will be no more foolhardy than that. Even Adi Shankaracharya ji in the very second shloka of Viveka Chudamani, what does he say? Jantunam nara janma durlabham ataha pumsam tato viprata. The first 3 steps are, then he says Tasmat Vaidika Dharma Marga Parata. That identity should be there. That I am a Sanatani, I am a Sanatana Dharmi. Until when? Until that maturity hits where your Chitta Ekagrata, Chitta Shuddhi has been ascertained, then this disidentification is being said. Not up until then. Wrongly applied, you will be neither here nor there. Am I getting across? Because at that empirical level, when you talk about that identity as a requirement, there are these pseudo-intellectuals that start questioning. This is our Sanatana Dharma which talks about, giving up all identities. Why are you putting the label of Sanatana again. You cannot claim that it is Sanatana Dharma giving you this knowledge without that identity. That confusion has to be removed. Then when we come to this mature level, and what is being said, the very element which is identifying with all these layers. What is Ahankara, what is this individuality, the Jivatva? Those who have learnt the Vedantic vocabulary, it is the reflected consciousness. What is that reflected consciousness? It is a conglomerate, a mixture of several layers put together. For that Jivatva, that identity, that Ahankara to exist, there has to be the conscious principle. Right? First layer, first necessity. That conscious principle has to reflect in the Sukshma Sharira, which happens to be our intellect. Now that reflection identified with the intellect, from that intellect level it goes to the next layer of grossness. It comes to the mind, identifies with it. It comes to the Sharira, organs of perception and action, identifies with it. It doesn't stop there. All that which the Sharira Mana Buddhi, the environment that it has acclimatized itself in, it starts acquiring the identity. My house, my people, my environment, my prapancha. All of this put together is called that individuality, the ego. When all these layers are included, I call that as me, the ego. Aham, ahankara. When I say I, what does that I, when you dissect it in different layers, all of these are included. So when it says Atimuchya Dhiraha, where do we start? We start from the grossest layer of identity to the subtlest layer of identity. Natural progression. Without having given up the grossness, you cannot come to the subtlest to give it up. If the gross itself is we are unable to give up, do you think we are capable of giving up the subtle? At all these layers of what I have explained, from the prapancha, that which I have said, my prapancha, to the identity with the body, mind, intellect and memories, each one of these layers have to be given up. So what do we end up understanding? Running away from all these different environments maybe is the solution. No, you have to be in the same environment. It is the sense of attachment to that environment that has to be given up. How can I give up the attachment? So now we have to analyze, why am I attached? Because there is always an anticipatory expectation through that which I am attached to. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. There is something that I am expecting out of each attachment. Because it is supposed to, that is what is my expectation and demand. It is supposed to give me certain amount of joy, certain amount of peace, certain amount of sense of security. Because I see that it can give those things to me, therefore I am attached to it. Attachment to relationships. wife, husband, children, parents, in-laws, sense of security, sense of joy, sense of peace. Relationships with friends. Now these days I have to also include all the followers on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. How many friends, how many likes, how many subscriptions? My world has expanded into the digital format also. Digital format of identity. I really have big laugh when somebody is introduced to me saying, they are a big influencer, Swami, they have a great following. What a tees maar khane mein. Where on the digital format. Instead of thinking of understanding the sense of attachment to different layers, we are engaging in more and more layers of attachment. Why am I attached? Because I anticipate that it might give me. It is only it might. Not that it regularly can give the same amount of sense of security, joy and peace. Most of the time, it is the very source of my sorrow. It is the very source of my restlessness and breaking away from peace. It is the very source of my insecurity. If in the relationships it is what you call as love, love is always in giving, not in demanding and taking. The moment it becomes demanding and taking, you have become insecure of that relationship. So that very relationship which is supposed to give sense of security, sense of joy and sense of peace is the very one that is disturbing all the three. And yet, moha and vyamoha is so strong that we somehow want to squeeze those three things out of every single interaction. And frustration is high. Why? My anticipations are not being met with. One little word, atimuchya dhiraha. Atimuchya, so much to explain in there. So how can I detach? The solution is also given in the very next word. Dhiraha eva. What do we usually translate the word dhira to? Dhira. We say courageous. No. Courage is the effect of it. Dhira means the one who is endowed with patience. Immense patience. Mountains of patience. To work with these attachments, the reason why I am not able to, in spite of me knowing the entire flow chart, why do I still go into that moha and vyamoha? I lack patience. Dhira, the one who is endowed with patience, alone has the courage to snap away from all these attachments. Patience for what? To boil down each experience to its core understanding. Is it necessary or is it a triviality that I am clinging on to? The courage is born from patience. In patience grows viveka. Viveka expresses as courage. Viveka about what? Go back to Tattvabodha again. Viveka kim? Nitya Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivekah. What is Nitya, what is Anitya? To have that moment, that patience, to step away from it, to sit down, evaluate. Is it something that I am attached to which is Nitya or Anitya? If it is an Anitya Vastu, how can it give me the constant, continuous amount of joy, security and peace? That itself does not have stability. How can it give me, provide me the stable platform? It cannot, because it is not in its nature. So endowed with patience, Viveka grows. With that Viveka, there is that courage to say, to see that it does not give, therefore I detach. Atimuchya dhiraha. Now once that Viveka is well established, the detachment is a continuous process. Such one, what do they reach to? That we will see tomorrow. So today, I seem to have taken 8 minutes extra. Sorry about that. Om